Hello, beautiful people. This is Rajeev with episode 49 of Photo Country. I want to introduce today's guest, or rather, this episode's guest, Mr. Justin Castles. He's a photographer and he's also an entrepreneur. He actually started a business called Lucky Straps, and it's one of the most comfortable camera straps that you can ever own. I own one as well. It was gifted to me by my good friend Neeloy. Thanks to you for this wonderful gift you gave me. It's an awesome strap. It's called Lucky Strap, and this is what I have. It's embossed with my name, and I absolutely love it. It's so comfortable. Unlike other straps where you hang it around the neck like that, and it's really uncomfortable. And this is quite it's a bit long as well, so I can sort of wear it as a sling, and it's so sturdy as well. And and when you're walking around with the heavy lens, this strap especially is quite comfortable. So I would highly recommend this strap. And I had a wonderful time having a chat with Justin. How he started his photography career and how it sort of translated into the Lucky Straps website, e-commerce site that he has, where he sells a lot of photography accessories and especially straps, which he's really known for. I was, quite keen to understand how his photography business actually evolved over the course of time. And he's been around for quite some time. And a lot of really famous photographers use straps, and it's handmade in Australia, uh, but it's shipped all across the world. So so Justin Castles, everybody. But before we actually get into the conversation, I want to really talk about the sponsor for this video. It's called Magic Mind. Making a podcast is not easy, especially, doing 49 of them over the past 2-3 years. Takes a lot of effort, and especially when I'm doing it, on a weekly basis, it takes a lot of hours. And Magic Mind I find helpful because Magic Mind is a magic elixir. It's sort of a shot that you can take and sort of use your boost, and it keeps you sharp. And it's got a lot of natural ingredients, so that's why I like it. I'll put the details of it in the show notes, and it should appear on screen as well. And if you use my code Rajeev20, you'll get a discount as well in your subscription. So go check it out, and thanks Magic Mind for sponsoring this video. So let's get into the conversation with Justin Castles. Thanks for your time, Justin. Thanks for accepting the invite.
Oh, no worries at all. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Great. Awesome using your straps, one of the most comfortable straps that I've used.
Oh, that is quite a compliment. Thank you very much.
Yeah, because I used to use the Sony ones, but these are great. It's especially the double lock, so it doesn't slip out easily. Yep. So that's one thing I like, and the other thing is it's quite comfortable as a side, like a sling, rather than hanging around my neck, which is sort of a pain.
Yep. Yeah, that was that's actually how I ended up getting into it to start with. I saw a picture of myself with a Canon 1D, I think it was a 1DX Mark IV or something at the time, and I had it slung across my body, but with the Canon strap, and it was so small, the camera was tucked up under my shoulder and I could barely move it around, but I didn't like having it around my neck. So that's how the whole idea for it began. Just a longer, more comfortable strap to go across. So yeah, it worked out.
How's it going right now? How long has it been since you started this?
We launched in April of 2014. So we're almost coming up on 10 years.
Wow, amazing.
Which is cool. Yeah. Yeah. So been going a while. It was a slow start because I started it while I had a full-time job and I was trying to start a photography business at the same time. So had a lot going on. So it was really just something that I did on the side, and it just slowly grew and grew.
Right. And now is it like a main gig for you, or are you still doing your photography side as well?
I still do some photography. I don't do a lot. I don't do any more weddings really, unless it's someone that I know or something like that. Um, I've got a business partner. He's kind of taken over the whole wedding business and stuff now, Jim. So we used to do that together, and now he does all of that. That's his business, and I just focus on the camera straps and do a little bit of photography for mountain biking, photo and video, which is a passion thing, but it is still paid work. So, and a couple of other clients here or there for different things that I enjoy doing.
Right, right. But how did the whole thing start? Like, how did you get into photography in the first place?
Um, hmm. I actually wanted to start making videos. It was I really wanted to make videos. I was really into action sports, and I was watching people make videos with DSLRs, like back when that was the first thing. So Canon 5D or 5D Mark II, and people were making these great looking videos. And I was like, all right, I want to do that. And I did all this research and bought a Canon 60D and a couple of lenses. And I took some photos, and I was just so happy with the photo results. I got excited about learning that. And at the same time, I tried making a few videos, and it was really hard. So I kind of gravitated towards photography just because it was, I think, a faster feedback loop to learn than video.
Right,
Like
right,
video has that kind of steep learning curve at the start where you're trying to figure out all of the different settings, and I don't know, there seemed like a lot of complexity to it. I've got my head around it now, but yeah, back then it seemed really tricky. And then photos, were you would take it and look on the back of the camera, and it looked amazing. I'd never taken a photo with. I bought a nifty 50 lens, a 50 mil 1.8, and I was taking photos with that, and you shoot it wide open, and everything just looks. You've never seen it look like that before. Photos of people and stuff look great, so I got hooked.
right, right, right. And did you, I mean, when did you start your professional career as a photographer? And was it weddings? Did you start with weddings, or was it
I started with everything.
okay?
I wanted to do more photography, and that meant trying to get paid for it, but also trying different things. At that point, I thought it would be impossible to do something like sports as a career, because it was kind of at the same time that everyone was saying, photography's dying. This was like when newspapers were cutting their photo teams way down. But doing that as a career seemed like it was sort of going to be really difficult. And so I just started trying everything: family photography, weddings, anything that I thought that you could make a living from. But also, I enjoyed the process of learning how to do that shoot. Like if I thought, all right, I've got a family shoot, and I'm going to just research everything I can find on the internet about family photography, and then do the same for weddings and all that sort of stuff. So I like the process of learning. And at the start, it was just do everything I could to see if I could make it a career or a business or something, because I was working full time and I didn't really enjoy my job. I never really enjoyed working for other people. So I wanted to have my own business, and I didn't really know what that looked like. So I just tried whatever I could.
Right, right. And how was the challenge shifting from, you know, a steady paycheck to a sort of a
Work
unpredictable?
for yourself. Yep. So it's actually interesting. It took me a few years. I was working full time, and I sort of devised this plan. That's the cool thing about weddings is people book you in advance. So I ramped up the business as much as I could, starting off with shooting a couple of weddings for almost no money for friends, and then put some packages online and tried to book some, and did, and I liked it. And so from that point, I was planning that for the next season, I wanted to try and get as many booked in as I could. And I booked in, I think, for our summer, going October through to March, April is kind of the primary wedding season. I think I had 18 or 20 weddings booked, which is, quite a lot for essentially what would be my second season. And as I was sort of going through that year, I'd come up with the plan that I would need to be able to edit. I would need to be able to edit the weddings. I wouldn't be able to do that volume of weddings after hours. It would be too much. But I didn't need to edit the weddings straight away. So I knew that I could probably do 4 weeks of shooting weddings on the weekends into that season before I had to start editing them. So I basically made the plan, I think, to leave my job in November, I'm pretty sure. So I got as much as possible earning money from a job before I stopped. And then I immediately had essentially 20 weddings coming through in the next 4 or 5 months. So I sort of had this start, and I knew that work, plus I'd already at that point built Lucky to actually provide me an income. It was small. At that point, it worked out rough figures. It probably the camera straps were probably making me around $20,000 a year. It was a nice part-time job. And I thought with that, plus these 20 weddings, I'd done figures on a spreadsheet and worked out if I kept my expenses low, I could live on that and at least try this for 12 months. And that was the plan. So it was a pretty safe, I didn't just quit everything and then start. It was, I'd already got it to a pretty safe point before I took the leap.
Right. Yeah. And it also helps because you have your Lucky straps as well, and not totally dependent on just the photography business alone at that time, right? So so probably that's also worked out for you.
It helps with both. Likewise, having the photography income helped with the camera straps, because if I had just tried to make a living off the camera straps, I don't think it would have worked. When you have to try and make a living off something, you start making decisions solely based around money, especially if things start to get stressful and you don't have any money left and you're worried about paying bills. You might make a decision that's not the right decision for the long-term long-term growth of a business. You might try and not order stock because you can't afford to order stock or something like that. And then that impacts things down the road. So I was actually having both at once. Probably not a good idea in terms of how busy you can be or having to focus on too many different things, but being able to let each business grow sort of in a slower, safer way, it actually worked out really well.
Right. Yeah. And the thing I like about the straps is, one, it's handmade. And the other is it's got my and my friend basically got my Instagram handle embossed on it.
Ah, awesome. Yeah.
So I really liked it, and it's always a conversation starter.
Yeah. Yep. It's one of the coolest things about them, but it's also it's one of the reasons why it makes it a little bit harder for us to expand internationally and things. We still have to ship everything from here in Bendigo, whether they're going to Canada or into Europe and things like that, because to personalize them, we have to personalize them here in Bendigo. So it makes it a little bit tricky, but it also it's great because there's not many places that do that sort of thing, and I think it's a nice way to stay. We change our cameras over so regularly now because digital, you're always getting a different camera. So it's at least, it's nice to have part of your kit to feel like it's something that, has gone around the world with you and been with you for 10 years or something. That's the kind of camera strap that we want to sell.
Yeah. And I think it's also very personal to you, and it's personalized and personal, and and it feels part of you, I suppose, when you have that strap on you. And I mean, you live in a world where it's of instant gratification. and it
Yeah.
feels nice to have something which takes time to do.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. I really agree. That's one of the coolest parts of our business. And we enjoy getting messages from people that got them as gifts or just made their own strap. And then when they finally unbox it and stuff, yeah, it is nice. I think you lose a little bit of that if you do something that's mass produced and
Yeah.
there's a lot of different, a lot of different people between us and the customer. Mm.
Right, right, right. And where all do your straps go now from Bendigo? Like, where have you expanded, like, the
We've
markets?
sold we've sold into a lot of countries, but the main ones are the US, like outside of Australia, New Zealand, the US, Canada, and then the United Kingdom and sort of a broad area around Europe. But once you start to get to that, it's a few here and there, and then outside of that, same all through Asia. We sell a few to each country throughout each month, but not many. It might be one to Japan and one over here, and yeah. So, but yeah, most of the world, but just not a large amount to most of the world.
Right, right. And how are you able to? I mean, are you able to scale it up in the sense that since it's all made handmade, um, how long does each belt take to make?
I mean, you can scale everything up. I mean, it just takes more hands, more people. The factory. So we don't own our factory that makes
Right.
our straps. It's in Bendigo here, but we've worked with them. They're the only ones that have ever made them for us. We've worked with them since day one, um, and they've got, I think, only maybe 5 people. It sort of fluctuates a bit depending on what's happening there, but they make other products as well. They make some products for the music industry and some belts and things like that. So they're able to keep up with demand, but it can be a problem if we have a bigger month or something like that. We do run out of stock, and it takes us a while to get the stock back through and things. So it's a little bit of a problem, but we could scale up. I think honestly, it's almost actually harder to get the word out about products these days unless you have a really giant marketing budget. That's what we're finding. Earlier on, it was easier to spread the word
Right.
through organic social media and things like that, which now almost doesn't seem to exist unless you can make a viral TikTok reel or something. No one sees it unless you pay for the advertising.
Yep.
And that's why we're trying to explore that this year, is how do we spread the word without we can't really afford to pay what brands are paying for social media ads anymore. They're so expensive,
Right.
and it's that industry is kind of, it used to be when we started. It was, when we started, no one, large brands weren't really advertising on Facebook. I was always running around trying to tell businesses, "Oh, you should advertise on Facebook," and they were like, "Ah, no, it's not really for us." And then now it's McDonald's and Coca-Cola and stuff are pumping millions in, and we sort of struggle to compete. So that's why we're exploring the ideas of trying to see if we can work with our customers to promote, or so. I don't know. We're trying to think of everything. Of how do we spread the word without just giving a heap of money to large companies like Meta and Google. I don't know. If you've got any ideas, I'm all for it.
Yeah. The one thing I like about Lucky Straps is, number one, the name. The name itself is sort of really catchy. Lucky
Yeah,
Straps.
I like it.
So it kind of stands out to me, number one. And I think number
Hmm.
two is it's kind of I mean, I don't know how you feel about it. It brings that sort of Australianness to the whole brand.
Yep.
That really comes through in the language that you use and stuff like that. And probably, I think the best way I would think is user generated content, I suppose. I mean, it
Yeah.
just user stories and stuff. And that's what possibly will work, I guess.
And that's what we're experimenting with. That's why we sent an email out to sort of a select number of our customers asking if they wanted to make something for us. It's interesting. I'd love to get your thought on this. Like, so we want our customers to maybe make us a reel or something like that explaining why they like their strap. I don't want them to have to do that for free
Right.
because a lot of the people that work with us, that buy from us are professional photographers or content creators, or even if they're not, their time is valuable.
Right.
So I don't want to say, hey, can you just make us a free thing because I don't know, we'd like you to, but so um, I'd like to be able to pay them, but then I worry, is that then paying for a review? If they're then saying nice things about us, do we then need to tell someone, oh, hey, just by the way, we paid this person to say this. So then they don't even believe what's being said because they think they're just
Yeah. Yeah.
getting paid. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
really like, that's what I was trying to explain in the email. Like we want to pay you for your time to make something, but we don't want to pay you to say specific things about us. You can say whatever you want.
Right. Right.
Um,
Right.
yeah, I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I mean, it's like an honest review. I mean,
Mm,
we just really want to know what you think of our product and how you use it.
yeah.
You know, I would think possibly because I work with a lot of clients on digital marketing, and this is
Hmm.
always the thing, right? Because testimonials is really the key in
Yeah.
today's world. Word of mouth, I suppose. Um, I guess one thing you could I've run like sweepstakes for people, for client,
Mm,
um, like asking them to follow the page and write a testimonial, and
mhm.
then their thing goes into a draw, and they can win something.
Yeah. So it's not a payment. Yeah, I know, but I guess
Yeah,
that's
that's
sort
one.
of fine for a quick review or something, but, like, if someone's gonna spend like, if you make something cool, like a cool reel or something, it can take time. Like, it's not
Yeah,
it could take a few hours of someone's time, and that's why
yeah.
I'm like,
You
I don't want them
is that
to.
something that you could give them instead of just paying? Because I know how, if for a really professional photographer who's charging really high
Mm,
rates, I don't think it will. How can you compensate him? I mean, the
yeah.
value of 1 hour is relative, right?
That's right. And look, at that point, either they won't do it because they probably that their time's too valuable, or they might do it as more of a they're just doing a nice thing for us. Yeah, but you're right. Once it gets into that level, we wouldn't be able to afford to pay them anyway.
Exactly, exactly, and possibly, I don't know, maybe a some kind of a token of appreciation, which is not too expensive for you to make. I don't know. Maybe you can
Mm.
come up with something which they can
Oh
use as
yeah,
part of their gear.
yeah. Well, we used to do some apparel and things, just some t-shirts and hoodies and things like that. We could potentially bring that back as a thank you gift, but
Right.
a good amount of nice stuff maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. The
It's just
one.
a thought.
Yeah. It's very difficult to get people to give you testimonials because it's sort of an effort. So
Yeah.
I've been using a lot of tools which takes that pain point away. In
Yep.
the sense that if you want to shoot something, then you have to take some time off and stuff like that. But if you send them a link, which they can
Mm.
open up on their phone and just record, and then
Yeah.
when submit, it just comes to you.
Yep.
So it just takes that little pain point away from them.
Yep.
There's
Yep.
a lot
So
of
it's simple. Yeah.
there's a lot of tools, like I think Loom does that. There's a lot of tools which allow you to generate testimonials. And I think there's one where you can actually, just like you have a form, you can ask questions, and then you can record the answers to those questions. You can send them, and then it's just a
Yeah.
sequence, and then you can
Yeah.
record. So it's basically like interviewing somebody, but it just
Yep.
choreographed into the app.
Yep.
So
Yeah, that's interesting. Because I'd love to actually do that. what we've been playing around with the idea. This isn't really to help market us, but I'd love to feature more of our photographers
Hmm.
that use our straps on our channels and our newsletter and things. So, getting them to fill in a quick questionnaire and submit, 5 or 6 photos that they love, and then we can create a little profile and show that through email. It'd be cool if they could answer those questions in a video, and then we could make a video that overlays some of their images and things like that,
Yeah.
just to kind of promote, because we've got so many people that use our straps. I want to know them all. I don't know, like I didn't know you existed. Now I know you exist. Like I want to find out more of the photographers that use our straps and what they're doing with them. I think that's something that we've missed the mark on, by not having, back in the day, people used to have Facebook groups and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's really a thing anymore, but we never really started one. I just thought, oh, why would people join? But I've seen some be really, really successful and provide a lot of value for the people in the group.
Yeah.
Once the group starts helping each other with problems and things like that, if you get enough knowledgeable people in there, it can be really valuable to be part of it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I think kind of building a community is great today. Especially what I'm seeing is, especially Instagram. Instagram
Mm.
is moving from like a feed based thing to a more messenger based thing. Like
Hmm.
lot of DMs, and it becomes conversation starters. And so nobody's
Yep.
actually posting it because
Yeah.
but they're posting it more on stories. And then
Yep.
today people just share reels,
Yep.
and that on DMs, and then that
Mm.
becomes they have a private sort of a group chat going on inside of Instagram, and
Yeah. And that, I guess, it doesn't really build as much of a community feel, if other people can't see the back and forth conversations and jump in and say, "Oh, I think this," and it becomes
yeah,
more,
yeah. That's
interesting.
that's what's happening. And then I've seen a lot of photographers having broadcast.
Yeah, broadcasting on Instagram's an interesting one. That's something that we could probably try. Yeah, doing like um, just a Q&A session or something like that. Um, yeah, we're all camera nerds, so
Yeah,
it's like there's a lot of questions we can answer. We're not the experts in the world or whatever, but myself and Jim, like, we've both been doing it for over 10 years. Like, you learn a lot of things. So it's like this.
yeah. And talking about your action, so you're more of an action photographer, right? From what I gather, you're mountain biking and stuff like that. So, I mean, what made you get into that side of things?
Just passion for the sports themselves. I love the even sports that I don't participate in. I love seeing people work towards and achieve pretty special things, whether it's some form of racing or expression, through skateboarding, all that kind of stuff. I love. That's what that first got me hooked into wanting to make movies and things like that, were those sorts of films. So documenting people doing cool things is something that I'm really interested in. But a step past that is, I took up mountain biking, and wanted to learn more about it. So I reached out to someone that does mountain bike reviews and asked if they needed help with photos and video, and they did, and it worked well. It worked really well too, because at that point I was not that knowledgeable on video itself. So um, I offered to do it basically for free, until I could prove to them that I was across the video side of it enough to be valuable. And yeah, the majority of what I've ever done to be able to make it into an income, I've always started it for free, almost always. Yeah.
Right, right, right. And your
Um,
wedding photography, like one thing, you know, my gripe with wedding photography is sometimes it looks too staged.
Yep.
So how do you break that? Because I noticed in your feed there's a lot of very interesting photographs, a bit of humor
Hmm.
involved as well.
Yep.
So how did you sort of differentiate yourself from other wedding photographers?
I don't know if we differentiated ourselves, but we had a big focus on. So both myself and Jim. Jim was he was a press photographer, a professional. So he worked for a newspaper before this. So he was very good with the camera. He was used to operating all day shoots back to back to back, working very fast. And I hadn't done that, but I was interested in sports and I was a full on gear nerd. So I knew my camera very, very well. So we could get that stuff out of the way and not be worrying about what we were doing with our cameras. And we were only worried about what was happening in front of us. And then we kind of slowly, like through the day, we'll sometimes we'll be trying to get completely out of the way of the situation and just document what's happening, but document it, try and be um, 3 steps ahead so we know roughly what we think is going to happen, try and get ourselves in a good spot so that when something does happen, we get a photo of it with good light and that kind of thing. And then sometimes the clients need a little bit of help relaxing or what to do next or whatever. And that's kind of when we flow back through to directing the situation a little bit
Right.
and maybe trying to be humorous ourselves to get people to loosen up and go back to interacting with each other. Like we don't ever want them to be just doing what we're telling them to do. We try and say like Jim will often get them to. This is one of it. He'll hate me for telling this. I think he heard it somewhere else, so it's not his secret. So it's okay to share. He'll get them to whisper into each other's ear what they had for breakfast that morning, but they have to do it in a really, really, really sexy voice. And the expressions that he gets from that are awesome, and they're real. And it helps to get them back because sometimes they'll get absorbed in thinking about what's going on that day. Oh, it's running late. They just come and told us that the meals weren't going to be out for another. Like something like that happens, and it pulls them out of just being engaged with each other, and this can bring them back into that.
Right.
But yeah, so there is stuff like that we have to do, but it's always it's not. The only times when things are really directed and they're sort of pretty static is if we're trying to do something with the night sky or maybe a sunset or whatever. But even when we're doing sunset shots with flash and stuff, it's pretty bulletproof process that we can still get them to be interacting and playing around or get them to have practice their first dance or something like that. So that again, they kind of have some natural moments rather than just standing there or whatever. But there is still a little bit of both. But
Right. So for Lucky Straps, what's the next? Where do you see it going? Because I saw on your site, I didn't see it before, was gloves, which is really interesting because in winter, it
mm-hmm.
or early morning sunrise, you get it really becomes chilly,
Yep.
and you can't even feel your fingers, let alone the camera.
So
So
the gloves are interesting. They're not our product. We try to make it clear.
what you get
You would have seen if you went into them. You could see it's a brand called Valara, and they're from Norway. So a good friend of mine who I've gotten to know, they run a similar. It's a bigger business than ours, but similar in the sense that it's they make products for photographers and sell them all over the world and that sort of thing. So we got talking and we talk about things a lot. And he was having trouble shipping product to Australia. So I said, "Oh, we can ship it from our warehouse." So we took them on, and they have been really popular. But it has shown me that there is a demand for products that are unique for photographers that also don't have to be handcrafted in Australia. And it has because their products aren't crafted here. They're not even crafted in Norway. Gloves are they're so complicated to make. There's a lot of intricate detail in those gloves, especially because I don't know if you saw, but the fingers flip back so you can operate
Right.
the camera, stuff like that. That's tricky to do. But that did get me thinking as to whether there were some products that we've always steered clear of because there's no way our factory could make them at a price that would make sense.
Right.
And it's made me think, is there a space in our brand for a different line of products that aren't made here, but that complement our straps that are made here? And so that's something that's on my mind. I don't know if we'll do it, but it is on my mind. I have books of different product ideas that I've had, but then you just have to shelve them if it's not something that we can do. So I don't know. I'm revisiting some of those ideas at the moment to see whether I want to investigate it or not, or whether I want to focus on sticking with just our Australian made products. What do you think? Do you think it would be too difficult to have two different kind of ranges, one that's Australian made and one that's not?
I think once brand becomes international, so for example, one brand that comes to my mind is Moment. Have you heard of
Hmm.
that brand, Moment?
Yeah,
So,
huge.
yeah, so I've been a long time user of their products, like their lenses and stuff for mobile. Um,
Oh yeah.
they're really nice, and the way they started is they started off as mobile first kind of company, right?
Yes. Yep.
And now, if you go and see, they're just
They sell everything.
exactly.
Yeah. I went on there a little while ago. I couldn't believe it. I thought I was on a different website for a little while because that's what I remember. They were sort of a specialist brand.
Yeah.
And then the next minute they were selling like Canon cameras and stuff, I think. Like
Yep,
they have everything.
they're everything. It's like anything and everything to do with a camera, you'll find it there. Right from
Yeah.
education to photography tours to
Oh wow.
yeah. I think they start off with photography tours, if I remember, and that and they were extremely popular.
Mm.
And then they branched off into education. So there are a lot of courses, things like that, like online courses. Like if I can basically host my courses, that if I can pitch it to them, kind of thing.
Hmm.
And then they just then they made their own app as well, Moment
Yeah.
camera app as well.
Yep.
So yes, and their videos used to be really uh, interesting content. I really enjoyed watching their crew make content on
Hmm.
YouTube and Instagram. They were really good. I
Yep.
think that was the clutter breaker for them. The content that they were creating was really unique.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I think there's some analogy for Lucky Straps there, I guess, in terms of what you can do with your brand. Um, I
Mm.
mean, with shop moment.com, there's some, they are a US brand and they start off very specialized like you.
Hmm.
And now they're just broaden their scope of what they can do, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think we would never. It's not my goal uh, to go that big. That's not something I would be
Yeah.
a business I would be interested in running, like something that huge with selling every type of product kind of thing. That's a big undertaking, and
Yeah.
it's impressive that they've been able to do it. But I really like, the value that I think I can add is by bringing new and unique products in front
True.
of people, not just bringing all products,
Yeah.
maybe at price or whatever. That's not really my thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, I think we could definitely expand a little.
Yeah.
Um,
I totally agree. I think Lucky Straps as a brand, I think I look for unique products,
mhm,
not every product, right? Like
mm,
for your strap and um, your gloves, etc. So
mhm,
so that's yeah. So I think that's what I think Lucky Strap stands for me.
yep,
I would definitely look at if you have some kind of a bag like for
Yeah. Yep.
like a lucky
We've got
stress.
we've got a lot of bag designs in the works. It's just we've never been able to pull something together that could be made in Australia for a price that would make sense. You
Right.
know, it's just once you get into intricate detail with lots of pockets and things like that, which is what photographers need.
Right.
It's just it gets really really tricky to do it here. The price would be a price that I don't think I would be comfortable with, and I sort of think if I'm not comfortable with it, I don't know if I'm not comfortable selling it. Then so but that's where maybe we do have to explore
Yeah.
manufacturing somewhere else
I
for
I
some
I
bags.
I would definitely love having a embossed bag,
Yeah.
especially because I do a lot of like nighttime street photography.
Hmm.
So I like walk the streets,
Oh
and
yeah.
yeah, and sometimes I mean I have my camera exposed, right? So I would like to have something which um, you know it's inside and I can just whip it out and shoot, kind of a
Yep.
thing.
Yep.
So that'll be interesting to have
Yeah.
explore.
I'm looking for the same kind of thing at the moment. I bought my dream camera when it came out, the
Like a
Q3.
wow.
Yeah, the Q3 when it came out. I've been drooling about them since the Q come out. Whenever that was, it was probably 9 years ago or something. And at that point, it was a pipe dream. I was like, oh, I'll never buy one of these. And then I did this year. I'm still feel sick about how much it costs. But the plan is to do a lot of travel with it, and most of the time, in most places, I'm very comfortable having the camera out. I've traveled a fair bit, and I've always found that with the camera strap across your body, if if you fit in and you feel comfortable in the situation, there's usually no problems. But there are some situations where I'd feel more comfortable if it was tucked away. So that's a bag that I'm sort of exploring at the moment. I've bought a few already, and I'll probably buy some more. I own a hideous amount of camera bags, and yeah, I don't think the thing that I'm looking for exists yet. So that might be a product that we play with.
Yeah, because like for example, the bag that I have, uh, the, my biggest complaint is those compartments. They're
Hmm.
so flimsy, and if I put something
Mm.
on top, and it sags and feeds into the other,
Yeah, interesting.
it becomes becomes a pain. And if I have to go for a really good bag, it's insanely expensive. You want the bag that you want. So there's no middle
Yeah,
ground.
yep, yeah. There is no middle ground. The good ones are always pretty expensive. I've found there's not many cheap ones that are any good. Like yeah, pretty much all the backpacks I use are all $600 backpacks. That it's just
Uh,
it's crazy, but they're good. They're
yeah,
really good. Um, so yeah,
true.
I think a small bag that you could either uh fit a camera and an extra lens or something in, or if you're shooting, um, you could either have your backup camera in it or maybe two lenses in it or something like that. What if you were shooting a wedding? I think that's something that kind of exists, but I think we could do it really well.
Right.
Yeah, and that's something I'd like to check out.
Awesome. Awesome. Sounds
Mm.
good. And the last thing I want to ask you is, you have your quick release. How did that come about?
It was ever since the first like prototype we made, I wanted it to be quick release. And yeah, I tried everything. I'd paid product designers in the past to design something. It didn't work. We've been working on that for. I think we released it in April 2020. So everything prior to that, I had been trying to do it. Um, at the very start, I wanted them to release with quick release, and I couldn't work out how to do it. And I'm glad I did. I just said, I'm I'm going to launch this anyway and then see if I can figure it out along the way. And turned out to take almost 6 years to figure it out. And I'm glad I didn't wait, because maybe I never would have done it. So the takeaway from that is just start. Anyone that's thinking of doing anything, just start with what you can now, and you can always do something different, more, bigger, better later.
Right.
If you're trying to launch a business and you're trying to get everything lined up, everything's never lined up. Just get going. But yeah, we had been trying, and I one day, because it was always I wanted it to fit almost every camera, which this does,
Right.
and I didn't want it to be. Peak Design had theirs out at the time, and basically everything else was usually just like a click buckle off a backpack or something like that. It was pretty average, or some people using like clips almost off a key ring or a dog lead or something like that, and it would just scratch the camera up. Some people still use those. It's crazy. And I definitely didn't want to just copy Peak Design but change it a little bit. They nailed theirs. Theirs is great for that style of thing, where you can clip it on and off really fast, but you have to leave a dongle on the camera to do it.
Right.
So I was like, all right, if we're going to do this, it has to offer something that theirs doesn't, and that was attaching to the camera without having to have a little dongle. And admittedly, there are drawbacks to that, because it's not quite as quick to put it on and off as theirs is.
Right.
But there is nothing left on the camera. So, it means if it's going in a surf housing or something like that, there's nothing to get in the way, and you don't have the little things left on.
Right.
So it was honestly just trial and error, cutting straps apart and playing around with. I bought little key rings and things off, little clips off different websites to try and see if this would work or that would work. And honestly, it wasn't until like I saw there were some little clips like this on the market
Right.
that were got any around here, but they use the same little wire thing, but they're a different shape. And it wasn't until I realized that attaching this part, which is like the buckle that comes with a normal strap,
Right.
attaching that to a clip was the key. And then figuring out whether we could get webbing made that was thin enough to go through when it's doubled over. Because
Right.
if you take normal webbing off a camera strap, it won't fit through like that. So we had to get this custom made for us in Melbourne out of Dyneema, that's what they make. They make like winch ropes and things like that at really strong industrial applications. So it's super strong.
Mm.
And then, once we got the sample back of that and it fit through the slots on a Canon or whatever, we knew we had it figured out. It took a while. Even that design process, I think, took 2 years of back and forth playing around with things. And yeah.
And can you get that as a separate thing for if your strap doesn't have it?
Well, the problem is it so you could we could sell you the clip, but the clip is basically useless without
like
without
for example, my strap doesn't have it. But can I get that and attach it to this strap that I have, or the webbing needs to be thinner?
The webbing has to be thinner, and that's the problem. So the only way, no, and it has to be thinner and it has to be sewn in a loop. That's the key. Is it has to be a loop. If it's just one piece, it could work, but it's very risky, because if one of if this wasn't attached, if this one wasn't actually attached back to the strap,
it'll slide
if
off.
it falls through and slides off, your camera's done. So
Right.
it's not safe. We could do it where you could attach it, but we'd basically have to have this part sewn back to here and then have another thing that attaches to it. Would be very it's not the way we design things. We try and make everything very smooth. That's why the other thing that sort of holds us back a little bit is the only adjustment on our straps is in the webbing part here.
Right.
We don't put any adjustment on the leather ever
Right.
because it's just not good to shoot with. It
Yeah.
adds a buckle or something, and it's always
Yeah.
in the way.
Yeah.
And that's something that we've been told over and over again that we need to make one size fits all. But yeah, it's not nice to use as a product. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's that's another thing that holds us back. But it's sort of key to the way that we do things is it has to be good to shoot with. It has to feel
Right.
nice,
Yeah. 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 It
But yeah,
feels very comfortable. You're right. The buckle thing, you have to keep adjusting it so it doesn't pay.
yeah,
So it's,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
You're
so
right.
no,
Yeah.
we haven't made a product that can attach this quick release end to another strap. And I think if we did do it, I honestly don't think it would be a very good product. I think it would be clunky to use. And yeah, I probably most people that ask that question, I'm like, either we could modify your strap, we can actually get them back to the factory
Oh,
and
okay.
and it's a bit of work. But yeah, we have to basically detach these,
Yeah.
put new ends on, restitch them, and it's almost as much work as making a new strap, but we can do it. And we've done that a few times before, but otherwise, yeah, the only other thing to do is to go for something like Peak Designs anchor links or whatever that just attach to the end of the webbing. Yeah.
Right. 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 Awesome. Thanks a lot for that. And are you available only on your website, or are you available in other stores as well?
No, now we're only on our website. We used to be in stores around Australia
Right.
and a few countries, but we had a lot of trouble 3 or 4 years ago with consistent leather supply. So the colors would have to change regularly because the color we were using, the manufacturer would then tell us, the leather supplier would say, oh, we can't get that anymore. We have to change. And then the stores had a lot of trouble keeping up with the changes in colors. And we made the decision then we had to prioritize our direct sales because the stores at that time weren't able to stock a big part of our range anyway. Most camera stores, unfortunately, only want to have one or two products that suit everybody. They don't want to have a lot of colors and things like that. So it's kind of didn't fit with our model. We like to have people have lots of options, so they choose something that really connects with them. They can
Yeah.
personalize. You couldn't personalize
Yeah.
through the stores either. So there were quite a few reasons that we decided that even just temporarily we would stop going through stores. And I think it turned out to be a good decision. It probably means we're not as big as we could be, but we've been able to serve our customers better by
Right.
focusing only on online.
Awesome. That's
Hmm.
awesome. Thank you, Justin. And any last words? What do you have to say in the sense that what's the takeaway that you want your customers?
Takeaway that I want for customers is if you're thinking of starting a business, get started. If you've got an idea, just go for it. Do the minimum thing that you could do to actually test it out. If you want to get paid to do photo shoots, find someone that'll pay you $10 to take one photo. Just do something, anything, and then grow from there. Don't let it be so built up so big in your head that you're too worried about all the details to get started. Just do one thing today, like get it done.
Just do it.
Just do it. That's the thing. Because if I hadn't done that, I definitely wouldn't be doing this today, and it's changed my life. Nothing better than working for yourself. So go for it.
Awesome, man.
Just like you're doing with this podcast, which is cool as.
Yeah, love that feeling.
Yeah, exactly. Congratulations. How many episodes so far?
S- I think you'll be my 50th.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's the stats on that are what do they think? It's like less than 1% or something make it to episode 20. The people that start podcasts. So
Yeah,
congratulations. That is incredible.
yeah. I mean, it takes. I mean, it's taken me 3 years
Mm,
to
yep.
get here. I mean, it's just a slog.
Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. So,
What before we go, what are your plans for the podcast?
I mean, I after I started, I sort of fell in love with the medium.
Mhm.
I've become a more of a podcaster than a photographer right now.
I love it.
So I love the medium of the audio because you're literally in somebody's ears.
Mhm.
So I've started other podcasts. I have another one which is on politics and environment and how everything
Mhm.
is connected today. No issue is sort of isolated. Everything is connected, right?
Yep.
So every decision you and I take is political, it's environmental, and everything
Yep.
in between, right?
Yep.
So and everything from leather to whatever think of has got a political connection to it somewhere, and
Yep.
an environmental connect as well, right? So that's one thing I started with my friend, where I talk about a lot of issues, and yeah, and I have this, it's branched off into doing podcasts for brands as well.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah. So doing producing for others, and
Mhm.
me not being the host. So basically, um, the coaching them and producing them and editing them and packaging them and putting it out
In
there. So
Really? So
yeah,
you're saying that if I wanted to revive my podcast,
I could help you do
you
that.
you could help, with the production, the back end,
Yeah.
with scheduling?
Yeah. Because I do that for other brands, so where I use technology to, because it's everything is virtual. None
Yep.
of my I don't have a studio as such, so it's all
Yep.
online. It's an online studio like what we're recording right now, and my
Mhm.
guests are all over the place, right?
Yep.
So Australia, New Zealand, India, South America, Turkey, etc., etc., etc. So it's all over the place. So I started with Zoom, but the quality wasn't that great. So now I have this Squadcast, which I use to
Yep.
produce, and then it directly comes into my editing suite. I use a lot of artificial intelligence to um, do all the other legwork.
Yep.
So yeah, it helps. My production time has increased, so it decreased actually. So it used to take, I don't know, one day to do that stuff, I can do it in like 4 or 5 hours now.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it cuts down. Then I can do like small cuts and do for social media, etc. So
Yep.
use a lot of smart tools like that. And now Spotify has video as well.
Yeah.
So I host my podcast on Substack, so it becomes a newsletter as well.
Yep.
So it's video first now. It used to be audio only. Now it's video first, and then automatically the audio goes to Spotify and the other. So Spotify has video now. So if you want, you can listen to audio, but audio to the rest. And because it's Substack, I can put visuals onto it. So this is sort of people can read and see photographs while listening to the conversation as well. So because photography is very visual, but on a podcast you're not able to see the photographer's work, right? But if you send
Yep.
it out as a newsletter with the podcast embedded in it, it becomes sort of like a additional thing where you can read about
Yep.
him, see the photographs, and little bit of context to what we're talking about.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it. That is what I have found tricky when it comes to podcasting for photography. It's such a visual medium, and then you
Yeah,
take that away. If you want to talk about somebody's work, it can be hard to get that to translate through audio only.
yeah,
So having it blended together that's a great way to do it.
yeah. And I've also found that once you've reached this number of episodes, slowly your it percolates to start people start noticing you
Yeah,
because you have that much number of episodes. And
yeah,
I think Spotify also, I don't know, something to their search engine, I suppose.
yeah,
More people start noticing you because you have more episodes in the
yeah.
works
They yeah
compared to
they
others.
can see that you've got some longevity and you've actually been doing it, and
Yeah.
it's worth recommending you to other people. And
Exactly.
yeah,
So it's got a very slow, you know, slope. You have to persevere. You have to be at it. It's not for someone, people very often start and then 5 episodes take
yeah, yep,
just too much
exactly.
work.
It's a lot of work. It really is. Takes time, and yeah.
Yeah,
That's why it's so impressive that you've made it to 50 and onwards and upwards.
yeah, man. I actually wanted to do 100. That was my goal when I started.
It's a good goal. Halfway
So,
there.
yeah, halfway there. Yeah, because right now I'm in the middle of moving. My whole house is in a mess, but I still
Oh, okay. Still getting them done.
yeah,
Yep, you got to do it.
yeah, got to do it. Yeah,
That's
and yeah,
awesome.
awesome, man, and love to work with you guys in the future.
Yeah,
You guys make great products, and we can collab
yeah,
in some.
definitely. We'll catch up via email after this and chat and see what we can do. You
Yeah, I
got me
mean, yeah,
excited.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Awesome. Sounds great, Justin. Thanks a lot for your time, and talk to you soon. So that's a wrap for episode 49. Thanks, Justin, for your time. It was great chatting with you, and hope we can collaborate in the future. It's episode 49. It's quite a big deal for me, and in looking forward to doing the 50th. And who's going to be in the 50th episode? I really don't know. So if really if someone is interested in coming in as the guest for the 50th episode, please drop me a line. I would love to talk to you. So yeah, so that's it for the 49th episode. As always, this is Rajeev signing off, and you stay safe and keep on clicking. I'll meet you in the next episode.